Hi, I'm Sally Gaze, and I'm the Archdeacon for Rural Mission. And I'm here today speaking with Diane Grano, who is the leader of a rural resourcing hub in Red Lodge, which is a rural area of new housing. And Josh Bailey, who's from Bungay and the incumbent there, also working with Lightwave. And we're here to talk about rural evangelism. One of the things that we all have noted is that whereas in urban settings, sometimes we think about evangelism, we think about the crowds, and we think about particular sections of society that we might seek to reach in our parish. In the countryside, we're often thinking about ones and twos, that one family, one person. And particularly, it appeals to me the story of the lost sheep and how it says at the end, there's more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than many who didn't need to repent. And for me, it's all about going out after the one person and caring for that one person. Diane, can I begin with you? Tell us about some of the things that have been happening, some of the people that you know.
Thank you, Sally, and what a privilege it is to share. Yes, you talk about the one sheep and the importance of that. It's very easy to have events and rally our people, but the just looking after the one has been very, very fruitful in our setting. And then we have a lovely middle-aged lady called Carol, and she was baptized not so long ago. And Carol faced quite a trauma. She lost her daughter on the train tracks, and there's an inquest going on about that. But she was really on the edge, and she started coming to Lightwave, and then she would just cry and leave. And we really drew alongside her as a team and invested in her and cared for her, gave her a safe space to just be. And Carol then started coming to our breakfast chats where it's all about evangelism. Then came to Alpha invitation and is now baptized. So that was just another journey through a heartache and trauma in her life. And then Maxine came to know Jesus through just volunteering. Came to volunteer with us in our Lightwave Cafe, built friendships, invitation to a small group, investing in her life, and she gave her life to Jesus.
I'm Maxine, and I am a part of the Lightwave movement in Suffolk, in Red Lodge. I have never had a faith, and I joined Lightwave as a volunteer. I've always volunteered, but I've never really found fulfilment from it, or I always felt something was missing in my life. And through the Lightwave, I've learned about Christianity, and it's just been life-changing. I've found such friendship and love and purpose from doing the mission work. And we serve the community. We run a community cafe for the toddlers, the Sparkles Cafe, the Edge Cafe for the youth, and we do a pop-up cafe for everybody. I really get a lot of joy from serving, and I feel really fulfilled and feel like I'm living my best life when I'm doing this work. But obviously with the COVID, things have changed. We had to shut the cafes down, so we decided that we wanted to serve the community still, and we thought the best way would be to do emergency food packs, especially at the beginning. A lot of the elderly, even though they've got money, they couldn't get to the shops. They were shielding and they couldn't get online, do online shopping. So it was great that we were able to immediately respond to that. We had the packs ready. It was literally one phone call and we would have the packs there within the hour for them. And it just brought such joy, and that somebody was there, someone was there to listen to them, to help them. And it was immediate. There was no questions asked, no judging. And the response that they were giving, the feedback, they were telling us that we were like angels, and we were able to talk about why we were doing it and faith as well. I find in my Holy Spirit, I'm finding a check in myself now when I'm acting unkindly or I'm judging people or being unkind or not being very Christian, I'm getting a real check in my spirit now, and it's changing the way that I am as a person and the way that I act, and I see the world. And just by being with other people, other Christians in Lightwave, I've met so many lovely people, and just brings real joy to my spirit. And it's just love. It's just pure love.
It's easy to give somebody a food parcel and say we're loving you and care about you, but are we? I think that if we think about evangelism, the more important thing is saying, I care about you. I don't care about whether you have food. I care about you. And because I care about you, I want to help provide for you.
So I want to pick up a couple of things which seem to be very wise. One is the word investment, that you're really investing in people's lives because God invests in our lives and they're really precious. Each one of them is precious. And then the other thing that really struck me, because made a similar film recently with Graham Miles, our rural chaplain, and he was talking about actually when he goes to the shows, his key thing is not some kind of evangelistic leaflet to give out, but is his phone number, because it's his phone number that says, I care about you. Oh, I'm happy to talk to you again and to give you support. And that's exactly what you're saying, isn't it? These people, it's caring about each one, and that means giving them your time.
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely, Sally. And I think what we must remember is that sometimes the Lord puts people before you that you might not like or get on with or agree with what their lifestyles or their language or whatever,
yeah.
And it's just a privilege to sort of when the Lord puts these people in front of you, that you think, okay, he has an opportunity to be like Jesus, and to know what it's really like to be like Jesus is to love the unlovable. And to have patience. It's a long suffering, really, with some people. You really can walk a long road with people and face disappointment when you think they're on a journey and then they go back again. And we never give up, because we just don't give up. We just keep going.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Josh, let's come to you. Tell us a little bit about what's been going on with you as you've been reaching out with God's love.
Been here about 2 years. We're in a town with two kind of associated villages that are extremely small. And the one thing that it was so interesting hearing what you were saying, Di, just when we get a chance to talk together, just the things that are similar, even though Bungee's quite different from Red Lodge. It's astonishing what Jesus can do with one person, and how one person is always connected to so many other people, but you often don't get to see how they are impacting all the people in their networks. Jesus, I think, is so good at letting things build. That's why there's all the stuff about seeds and crops and all that kind of thing. And I've been thinking just on the first few people that I met when I came in as a vicar, and this thing definitely helps. So anyone who is coming into kind of those structures, actually, the structures in the Church of England at the moment are really good if you give yourself time and are willing to invest at finding the one. So there's a mum who I met shortly after I came, who that the interest was wanting to baptize her daughter, and within a few minutes of the conversation, we realized that they were about to be evicted from their house, and actually that got the conversation onto a really big level straight away. But it was very cool responding to the things they were saying and the issues that were going on in their lives, because actually Jesus will be relevant to the stuff that they're struggling with. It was a bit like you were saying with Rita and some of the other people Di. There are these parents who are in this tough situation, stay-at-home mums, trying to work a job as well. Can we just do one thing to show we care about you? And we've only got a tiny room at the back of our church, which is freezing even when the heaters are on. And but one person said, actually, okay, let's not wait until the church is all great. Let's just start something with this one mum who we know wants to come, and let's show that she matters. And actually, that one mum has invited 3 or 4 other mums she went after the baptism that did happen for her little daughter, who is still coming to toddlers. She's going to be there this Thursday. She decided she herself needed to be baptized. And it was, she finds sort of even the small scale town church a bit big. That's the weird thing. Like, I feel Jesus is teaching us a lot on this one thing through rural communities, actually about what's going on for isolation in cities, because Bungee's kind of in between. It's rural, and you can go to very sparsely populated areas, but there are 5,000 people who are kind of all on top of each other, but don't interact with each other as a rule. And even the size of our sort of 20, 30 congregation was too big for her, but the sort of 10 people toddler group was just right. And she's begun to see that as kind of her church family. And one thing she told me not long ago, when her daughters, her twin daughters, were sick and she was waiting in A&E, most parents who are watching this know what that's like. You know, there's something wrong, or they're not breathing or something, and you have to wait there for hours in the night. And one of her daughters was just sleeping on her shoulder. And she told me, she just prayed, can we please get out of this? Can you help us? And she knew she was praying to the Father through Jesus because of what we talked about. She knew who she was praying to. And she volunteered that when we next met and said, he answered. And just seeing that, you know, the Bungee doesn't know about that little thing that happened in an A&E. You know, Jesus absolutely does. But even though he's the Lord of heaven and earth and he created every single person, that moment he was ready and waiting for her to just say that one prayer. And I'm really excited about what's possible for this one person, having prayed then after her baptism, what the ripple effects could be for those 3 kids, for her bloke who's not quite there yet, for her friends who she keeps inviting to toddler group. And just going back to how, I mean, obviously we'd say that in every church context, the rural thing, as well as giving you the time and the necessity of investing in people to be able to notice those things, the fact that there are only a few means you can see when Jesus has done something significant that you might otherwise miss. Yeah, over to you, Sally.
No, that's a lovely story. So when you invest in the one, we really know that it's God who does the multiplication, and it's often he uses that person to reach so many more. Is sort of what you're saying to us, I think, isn't it? Yeah. That's
and
lovely.
investing in the one is thinking, well, we say that, but how do we practically invest? What does that look like to invest in the one? And I think it's about carving out time to invite somebody to go for a walk and a chat, because it's non-threatening, and you know, people talk easily when we're walking together, or inviting them for tea in your home or dinner, and saying, I care about you. Because if we're just meeting them to listen to their problems, or for them to come and fetch a food parcel, or you know, are we really investing? And I think it's really about getting to know them as an individual, but also, very importantly, is allowing them to get to know you. It's a relationship is a two-way thing. So it's not just about, you know, so I'm going to just raise my hands. It's not about us caring and making disciples. It's about us forming relationships alongside each other and creating those safe and meaningful spaces to form real meaningful friendships, because we have a relationship with Jesus, and so it's the same thing.
Yeah. And do come in, Josh. Yeah.
Just the thing about isolation at the moment with screens like we're doing now, something I've been really sort of able, I think, to see in a rural context that you can't see so easily in cities because you're surrounded by people all the time. You know, the Trinity are 3 who are 1, and they reach out to the many. And the way they do that is always sort of one by one rather than like en masse. I think when people gather, there's something really awesome that happens. But the reason people are there is because they have a very personal connection. Another thing I was thinking about in the kind of loving someone and going after the one sheep, it's easy to love the world, but it's very hard to love your next door neighbor. And because you have to deal with this messiness and brokenness, and it's so slow, like it takes so long, like 2 years. There has been growth, but it's haphazard and it's not every week. And this mum I was telling you about, she does come to church sometimes and she wants to. She feels part of the church, but I can't persuade her to come every week because she's nervous and there's a bit of kind of neurodivergent stuff going on. There are a lot of other families who she's brought who really like the small thing, but if you get them all in the big thing, they're not ready for it yet. And I think it's going to take a long time to reverse this isolation that's been created by screens and accentuated by COVID. And that's the really deep stuff. If you get everyone in a room and having a big party, you can still feel alone. Like, you know, there's a lot of community that is just feeling alone in a crowd. So the one-on-one stuff is just the way Jesus was with the Samaritan woman, the way he was with his disciples, having 12, then 3, then 1. Jesus has got time to see people as people rather than as scalps or as numbers.
Yeah, that's really, I mean, I was thinking a little bit about your toddler group and how in many churches that would be seen as a program, and the issue would be, can we keep the toddler group going? But actually that's not the issue that is in your heart and mind.
No.
Your heart and mind is for each family, each toddler, each parent who attends, and how you can serve them, help them to experience God's love. And so therefore, actually, when they grow out of toddler group, the issue isn't how can we keep the toddler group going, it's how can we continue to walk this road of discipleship with these people who we've got to know and love.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, it's quite a reversal. And I think, so, you know, sometimes we just need that reminder. It's not about successful programs. It's about loving the one, each one that God loves.
And thinking about how Jesus, how many times Jesus stopped for the one. We think of the woman at the well. Jesus stopped and invested and took time with her. So we just take a wonderful example from Jesus to stop for the one.